this was perfect sequencing, Wayman, because actually it was iBooks that's inspired what I'm doing on this new adventure with citizen science and backpack journalism. So I was minding my own business over 20 years ago when I was asked to teach an elementary science class, and it seemed like all my students hated it. They hated science. So I became a sociocultural researcher of science education, and I'm always interested in looking at the types of images that are portrayed when people think and talk about science education. The pictures drawn by children of crazy people and of national documents that say that we're doing a horrible job and we need to learn more science. So what is science anyway? And who are the knowers that are out there? What are the purposes and interests behind them learning science? This is actually my family, and my husband is a plumber, and I can tell you, he knows all the physics behind everything he does in those pipes out there. I think we've educated him well. So with Backpack Citizen Science Journalism, I've been wanting to explore the ideas of science and thinking that maybe Backpack Citizen Science Journalism might just open up. It might be a metaphor that maybe helps us to rethink about what we're doing in science education. These are just a couple of ideas that have inspired me. Ideas about new literacies, I've borrowed from those folks, and I've really liked the ideas for science being very hybrid and distributed. Interesting words like incubators. Genre was something I borrowed from the language arts people, and I really like Anis Bawarshi's idea, thinking about genre as a generative space for learning how to communicate ideas. And then this is an online resource that I really liked, seeing in Geologic Now how they were bringing landscapes and lifescapes together, these sort of lovely images, and then the writings that go with these. They just really inspire me to think, could journalism maybe be an inviting way for people to engage in communicating about their science ideas? So my adventure began, and I've been at this just since January trying out this idea with about 3 different class groups. So I've given my students a task, and I basically asked them to determine a citizen science project they would like to do. I've asked them to think about a way they could recreate their experience. How could they represent it? And it was really with iBooks that I thought that I was going to have them do that. But the teachers have brought their own tools and technologies of thinking about how to do that. And then I wanted them to try out a different voice. They might write scientifically, but they were most welcome if they studied spiders. They could write an autobiography or a biography. They could do eyewitness writing. So trying out some different voices has been very helpful to the students. I've had really good success with this so far. I was thinking about my husband in the presentation. Okay. So, 3 types of citizen science have emerged from this project. And I think the first was really thinking about helping out scientists. There's a website that's online, Science Starter, and it gives ideas for doing science projects that contribute to the work of scientists. And so I've had a number of students enjoy that. Some have learned how to use specialized tools by engaging in this. This is a light pollution iBook that actually was created. This was a papyrus book. It was a simpler form of making an ebook. I had another couple of students that they did a science project, and they were really unhappy with it because they felt like science dupes. They were asked through their citizen science project that they had discovered through the SciStarter site, and while that site has some great projects, some of them, though, just have you really collecting data, but you don't know what happens with it. So we actually had some teachers got together, and I like that idea that they authorized themselves to be critics of the nature of citizen science. And so they read an interesting book about their experience. And they also learned how to use iBook Author. A second type of citizen science, though, is more about citizen science for democracy. And I had a bunch of students that really wanted to explore, how could I do science in a way that might be good for my local community? A lot of times these end up being projects for their classroom communities. But this is an example of a teacher, and she used EduCanvas to talk about how she explored plants around the urban city there in Bogota, which is where she was, and how they might use plants to create better environments. And then the last type, and this is really my favorite, is thinking about citizen science as just being. Science isn't always going to provide ways to fix things, to fix problems. Science is really about the physical world around us. So how do we get people out there, especially those that say they don't like it? How do we get them to rethink it by experience and just being science? So this last one was just highlighting and using Glogster. I had some students that went out one morning and just enjoyed a ride around the city, and they did a video of their ride, and they couldn't wait to get back out and to experience being out in nature, being outdoors, and encouraging other people to get out there and enjoy science as citizens. Right on it.